Welcome to the Quest Forums channel. We have nearly reached the end of our study in Mark's Gospel. This week we're looking at chapters 14 and 15. And this is where Mark gives a very straightforward, detail-oriented account of the arrest, unjust conviction, and crucifixion of Jesus Christ. This is where the Lord fulfills the purpose for which he came and becomes the ransom for many. He becomes the payment for sin. I think one of the most moving places in this passage also happens to be one of the most confusing, and so it's worth discussing in this video. That's Mark chapter 14, verses 34 through 36. This is where Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he is praying, and he's asking the Father to allow him to escape what he's about to endure. He wants to be allowed to get out of this. And it really is difficult to understand, because if Jesus is God, then how can he essentially disagree with God? How can he want out of this plan? I think we have to keep a few things in mind. First of all is the nature of the Trinity, certainly very complicated, and we've talked about that before. But the issue here is that God is one. He's one essence, or being, or nature. That's the way that we describe who he is. But there's also three persons within the Trinity. Another way we can think of it, to simplify it, is three minds. And so Jesus is not just an extension of God, he is God, and he is capable of making up his own mind, making his own decisions. And he has decided that he does not want to experience this pain. And then you add to that the fact that he's not just God, he is fully human as well. And he knows what he's going to suffer, and that it will be horrible, that he's going to be mocked and beaten and scourged and crucified. That's some of the most horrible things that people can do to one another. He's going to endure all of them, on top of which he's going to be taking on the penalty for sin. And what that means, what we need to try to bear in mind, even though we can't comprehend it, is that Jesus was going to be taking every single thing that you have ever done wrong, every selfish act, every way that you've hurt yourself and others. And he was going to make it as though he had done those things himself, even though he was innocent of them. And then not just do that for you, but for each and every one of the billions of us. He was going to experience that guilt, and he was going to experience that punishment that we deserve. And so, of course, anyone would not want to do that. So that's not the amazing thing. The amazing thing is that he went through with it. That he decided, in spite of that personal fear of suffering, that what he wanted even more was to do the Father's will and provide for the salvation of humanity, understanding that this was the only way. There is no other path for us other than the one that he laid out in his own death. And this is the point of the gospel. This is the good news, is that forgiveness is available because someone else paid the price for us. But of course, it's not finished. Jesus' death paid that price, but another step was necessary to make it clear that it had been paid and that eternal life was available, which is what we will be looking at next week in Mark chapter 16. For now, if you have any thoughts on this that you want to share, or if you have a question, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Thanks very much for checking out this video, and until next time, keep looking up.